At the edge of the Peak District, amongst the trees and winding streams, the world converses through sound. And there's one sound that it wouldn't be complete without. But the world's changing. Humans are turning up the volume and the planet's now louder than ever. Huge machinery like aircon units and generators, as well as overcrowded motorways, mean that noise pollution is at an all-time high. We can ignore the racket, but for animals like birds that rely on sound to survive, noise can be dreaded interference.
It can be easy to take birds for granted, considering we hear them every day. But how are we actually impacting them?
So birds communicate in quite a few different ways. They communicate with olfactory, physical behaviours, visual stimuli, but they also communicate with vocal. And they communicate for lots of different reasons. They do it for aggression reasons, to maintain territories. They do it for breeding reasons, to attract partners. Acoustic masking is when any other signal sort of interrupts the effectiveness of another signal and overlaps it in some way. And often that's because the decibels are too high compared to another signal at the same frequency level.
We wanted to see how noise in Sheffield was impacting its birds. We recorded their frequencies in an urban and suburban park, and then we played them an ambulance siren to see how this impacted them.
There's scientific evidence that birds alter their frequencies around urban noise, so we expect that birds found around built-up environments will use different frequencies to those further from the city centre. Our urban birds were found in a park next to a hospital. Birds living there are often exposed to ambulance sirens, unlike those in our suburban park. Being so used to these sudden loud noises, urban birds might be more likely to carry on calling, while we predict those outside the city centre will be more easily startled and stop.
To measure this, we recorded birds using a microphone and then fed this into computer software to look at their highest and lowest frequencies. Did you get that one?
We also played an ambulance siren to see the birds' reactions, whether they stopped or simply carried on calling. Surprisingly, frequencies weren't significantly different between the urban and suburban park, and they carried on calling over the ambulance rather than stopping. Despite the differences in environment, it seems that the birds are fairly consistent. It could be a sign that they are struggling to adapt, but maybe they've just found other ways around it.
Frequency isn't the only adjustment birds can make. If needed, they can shout louder to be heard, or
just wait for the noise to pass.
But are they even changing at all? For some species, it might not be worth the hassle.
A shift in high frequency often means that any sound that you produce is slightly weaker. So when you produce it as a bird, you have to produce more energy and you have to increase your volume.
Birds might not have to change if they've already adapted to our noisy lifestyle. Robins were the most common species in our study, and like other birds, their reactions didn't seem to change based on location. This makes sense if you consider they've already learnt to live with us. Just think how often you see them in your garden. The roaring exhausts and sirens might just not bother them as much as those who prefer a quieter life. The growth of urban areas might mean that our suburban site and its birds are becoming more exposed to both man and machine. So even if birds are further from the city, the noise coming from it might have already crept up on them.
Up to this point, we've only considered urban noise. We thought that our suburban site would be nice and peaceful and quiet. But clearly, this isn't the case.
Maybe this is why we don't see a difference. The sounds of nature are replicating what we hear in the city, and birds are responding in the same way.
Urban birds might be reacting to urban noise, but suburban birds could be adapting to suburban noise. We set out hoping to find a clear answer of whether urban noise negatively impacts our birds, but it looks like the science goes deeper than we thought. Animal behaviour is hard to study, and it'll be a while until we can say we truly understand what's going on around us. What started with a simple yes or no question seems to introduce a lot more questions for us to explore. While it seems that urban environments could provide challenges to birds, the ones here in Sheffield seem to be doing alright for now. So the next time you go for a walk, take off the headphones and have a listen, because these songbirds deserve to be heard too.